Hello fellow pigment pushers! Due to the fact that this video is on a mistake I made which led me not even to get into half of the painting process, it should be a short video. The other thing is that Nurgle blessed me with a plague and I will not show my face in this video. Nevertheless, I took this minor cold as every grown man does, but still managed in some capacity to make this for you. But getting back to the model. So I found her and thought it would be a good idea to paint this miniature. As it turned out, this video would be more about this ugly badge than the Banshee model. Nevertheless, I got her out of my pile of shame and encouraged by Richard Gray's video on painting Eldar, thought it would be a fun project to copy his painting style with a little twitch and my own bits and pieces to have a lovely metal model I can call my own. Remember that before you see me delve into this monstrosity of a project, I would really appreciate if you could have a look into my channel. There are already a few videos on basic painting techniques as well as videos on me painting models. Every week there will also be a few new shorts on the history of specific types of miniatures, their historical progress and new versions over the years. Subscribe, share and like the content, and now let's get back into the painting process. As always, at this point of painting I used a black coat of paint of my choosing. I will not show the paints as through the whole process I was just using Stynel Res primer and a black Vallejo paint. The model was already primed and had a white zenithal. I have done it a few months ago when I switched from spray cans to an airbrush and wanted to use all of the cans. I think I sprayed more than 50 models then. The first mistake could have been here. I just took the model out of the drawer without a solid inspection of its state. It may have been that the paint was already falling off it. It is hard to tell right now. The other thing was that I didn't clean it at all. There were probably a lot of dust particles on it. After leaving her to dry and coming back, I noticed those few spots of metal showing through.
Fuck.
Wow! Glowing seaweed!
It looks like you found a clue, Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo-Doo!
This should have been the first and final clue for me, but as I have never encountered such a situation, I just brushed it off and full of hope continued. My idea was that I can cover it up by priming the model once again using a brush. So I just started by just selectively touching the spots that were visible at first, but with time I noticed that there are quite a few of them and I just went with putting the paint on all of the model and waiting for the final result. Well, the final result. It wasn't very good. It was practically the same. The paint started falling off immediately. I consulted my modeling friend and we just could not figure it out. He had some good ideas though. Perhaps I touched the model at some spots with my Cheetos hands or something was spilled on it and there was greasiness on it. He advised me to degrease the model in any way that I can find online that would not damage the paint job and try it again or just scrap the progress I made and strip the paint. Then wash it in isopropyl alcohol, let it dry and start again. I googled and googled, but considering the fact that it was Friday evening and I had completely other plans for Saturday morning and afternoon, I had to use acetone and strip the paint. As hurtful as it was, I took the model out of the base and cleaned any mold lines I did not see before. Then I gave her an hour dip into acetone, which normally does the job. Next was the cleaning and sanding stage. This time I wanted to be very diligent, but as I have already lost more than 24 hours on the previous job, I was in a bit of a rush. This was strike 2 for me. Never, and I can't emphasize this enough, take a short route at this stage. You will save a lot of cursing and confusion for the future. The next few steps were very robotic, as it is something I do with all of the models that are stripped naked. So, I made a new base resembling the old one. I cut out a slot in the cork for her to fit in, superglued the hole and put the model right in. As the cork was too corky and it is always visible, I put some texture paste everywhere on it to make it more credible. Thick and thin layers to make some irregularities. After a night of drying, the model was once again ready for priming. And then happened the second or the third fuck up of the project. The airbrush got somehow really badly clogged.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I tried spraying and tried, and looking from a perspective, I should have stopped at the very first sign of it and cleaned it to continue afterwards instead of pressing it until the model was covered poorly and unevenly. Nevertheless, it is always a posture of mine to play a tough cookie, and I thought once again, without double checking, that the model is fine, and went on putting a layer of Vallejo black. I really have no idea if this was a cursed project or it was my fault, but it seemed a-okay, and I was really happy to finally make a few steps forward. As mentioned previously, I was still under the positive impression of how Richard Gray painted a beautiful Eldar model using mostly stippling, and I thought I could do the same. 3 colors were on my wet palette ready for the highlights. One more thing that I might consider as a mistake was using an old and very cheap synthetic brush. I cut the hair off to make the surface more smooth, and this meant that the hard wooden surface was now very close to the bristles that had the paint in, not like in a proper dry brush. And then this happened.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
So this is the result I stopped at. It is very dissatisfying if it happens, believe me. Just to show you guys and let you know that this is not the first and probably not the last model that screwed me over or I it. The bunch of miniatures that you can see now are all projects that were started and due to some mistakes I made, had to be put away for stripping. I don't know if I will ever find the time and will to take a second try at them. Maybe they will go for sale. But I want to emphasize here that it's okay to fail in some capacity, as long as you learn from the mistakes. I am a slow learner, but I learn. Sometimes it is even preferable to get a good slap on the face before you become overconfident. This is my lesson learned, apart from the great comment from Evil666D on how to solve such an issue. I know that all of you are more veteran modelers and could sort this out. For those that would not know what to do, let me quote the comment I mentioned previously. Quote verbatim. Strip completely, then clean with alcohol first. Soak in soap, water for a while, then vinegar, then soap water again. Clean with hot water, then rinse with cold water quickly. Dry thoroughly with a hair dryer and take a bit more time than you should. Only touch with fresh, non-powdered gloves. Then prime with a spray can. Metal minis tend to hold invisible layers of finger grease and sometimes even chalk. Both prevents the paint from sticking. This should solve your problem. Since spray can primer is stickier than airbrush primer, regular brush on primer is the worst, because you rip off fragile paint layers. Let it dry overnight just to make sure. And my ladies and gentlemen, that is some fine and precise commentary, so thank you for that. And just don't forget to share, like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.